I don't even think Oprah Winfrey is a black woman. I think she's a white woman. She's been catering to a demographic of middle-aged white women for a long period of time.
You named your dog Oprah, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Dad?
Look.
I remember that.
50 Cent is at it again, this time just blasting Oprah Winfrey, saying she's got a thing against black men.
50 Cent once said, if we can't be friends, then let's be enemies. And when it comes to enemies, 50's got a long list. This is a man who's gone toe-to-toe with just about everyone he's crossed paths with in the industry. Rappers, rivals, and even some of the most feared gangsters and killers out there.
50 up there. Preem, dude, you know the old school. You know what 50 did? Yeah, my.
Do it back, yeah.
Yeah, my. Oh, you know what the block did?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh! That's when I knew 50 didn't give a. And that's when I knew Preem didn't like 50.
And not only did 50 come out on top in every situation, but most of these people are now either dead, locked up, or completely irrelevant. So when Oprah decided to go at 50, especially during that era, many people felt she actually got off light with just trolling. Because if she had been a man, things could have turned out way worse. Let's get into it. 50 Cent versus Oprah. The whole 50 Cent and Oprah situation played out in the open for years, and it got wild enough that at one point 50 even went as far as saying Oprah wasn't really a black woman.
I don't even think Oprah Winfrey is a black woman. I think she's a white woman. She's been catering to a demographic of middle-aged white women for a long period of time.
But to really get why he came at her like that, you gotta go back to where it started. It's 2003 and Get Rich or Die Trying has just dropped. The album is a cultural earthquake. It's smashing sales records, topping charts, and turning 50 into the most talked about rapper in the game. His backstory is already hip-hop legend. A kid from Jamaica, Queens who lost his mother young, hustled on the streets, got shot 9 times, lived to tell the tale, and flipped all of that into a multi-million-dollar empire. And for 50, there was one stage that would be the ultimate sign that he truly crossed over into mainstream America. The Oprah Winfrey Show. This wasn't just about boosting his profile. His grandmother was a huge Oprah fan, and in his mind, showing up on her couch wasn't just a career move, it was personal. He wanted to give her that proud moment, to show her he'd made it out of the streets and was doing something positive with his life. But when his team floated the idea to Oprah's camp, she basically shot it down. She wasn't interested, and she wasn't shy about why. She just wasn't feeling what 50 represented. In an interview with The Guardian, 50 remembered it plainly. She was completely against everything that was in my music. So she ain't never gonna have me on that show. I'm never going to reach that platform, which is confirmation of you being a huge success. Now, 50's always had a different way of thinking. In his book, Hustle Harder, Hustle Smarter, he lays it out. If we can't be friends, then at least let's be enemies. The logic is simple. If you can't share space with someone as an ally, being their rival can sometimes keep your name alive even more. If Oprah wouldn't invite him on her show as a guest, then he'd make sure his name still floated around in her world. So when he started poking at her publicly, he told interviewers her show caters to older white women, and he didn't care about her or her platform.
Every time she made a mention to hip-hop culture, it was something that was wrong with it. You're looking at it and you're saying that everything that's wrong with our culture is why I'm a success.
Wow.
But he didn't stop there. He made it a running bit. He named his dog Oprah and his cat Gail after Oprah's best friend, Gayle King. He even made a Twitter account for the dog, posting funny, sarcastic updates as if the pet was talking.
You named your dog Oprah, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
Dad?
Look.
I remember that.
For years, it was mostly a one-sided feud. Oprah stayed silent. She didn't address him. Meanwhile, 50 kept leaning into the role of cheeky antagonist, knowing the headlines kept him relevant in her orbit. Then 2012 rolled around and something shifted. Gayle King met 50 at a fundraiser and realized that he wasn't the loud, brash troublemaker she'd been expecting. Instead, she found him to be warm, funny, sharp, and surprisingly easy to talk to. That meeting was enough for her to connect the dots and set up a sit-down between him and Oprah. And so, it happened. Oprah sat down with 50 for an episode of Oprah's Next Chapter, and this time, he didn't just show up alone. He brought his grandmother with him, making the moment even more personal. It was the validation he'd been chasing for almost a decade, and a chance to show Oprah and everyone watching that behind the bulletproof vest image was a smart, calculated businessman with a clear vision.
The physical part hurt, and there was confusion because
you hurt afterwards. You don't
Yeah.
hurt for the immediate.
yeah, after you know you're gonna be fine, it really starts hurting. You know what I mean? Like the doctor tell you you're good, then it's just really bone.
During the conversation, 50 admitted the feud had been a deliberate strategy. It wasn't about hating her, it was about creating a conversation and staying in the mix. Oprah seemed genuinely charmed, and by the end of the interview, they were on good terms. For a while, it looked like that chapter was officially closed. But the peace between 50 and Oprah didn't last forever. By 2019, things started heating up again, and this time, it was over something much bigger than TV appearances or playful trolling. The Me Too movement was dominating the headlines, and Oprah was getting heavily involved in projects tackling sensual misconduct. One of those projects was a documentary centered on Russell Simmons, the legendary Def Jam co-founder who at the time was facing multiple accusations of SA. Now, a lot of people had strong opinions about this, but one of the loudest critics was 50 Cent. From his perspective, there was a clear bias in how Oprah was choosing her targets. He noticed that she seemed to be putting the spotlight on black men, Russell Simmons, Michael Jackson, R. Kelly, while avoiding the men who were also accused of equally horrific things, like Harvey Weinstein or Jeffrey Epstein.
50 Cent is at it again, this time just blasting Oprah Winfrey.
He is really ticked off about this documentary that Oprah is the executive producer of. It's a documentary about one of Russell Simmons' accusers.
50 took it straight to Instagram, posting photos of Oprah smiling alongside Weinstein, using the images to drive his point home. In his caption, he accused her of only going after her own and called out what he saw as a glaring double standard. He argued that in a system where black men already face harsher legal penalties, Oprah's focus felt one-sided and damaging.
This is the post that he put up. Put a photo of Oprah with Russell Simmons and said he just doesn't understand why she's going after black men. No Harvey Weinstein, no Epstein.
Not long after 50's post and after heavy public criticism, Oprah pulled out the Russell Simmons documentary. She claimed the decision had nothing to do with pressure from Russell, 50, or anyone else, but plenty of people weren't buying it. And here's the thing, 50 wasn't alone in his criticism. Over the years, a lot of people have praised him for speaking up against Oprah, agreeing that she often came off as dismissive or even hostile toward hip-hop culture and the people in it. To them, it felt like she was quick to criticize rappers or distance herself from them, especially black men from the streets, while still offering her platform to other controversial and in some cases straight-up dangerous people. One of the biggest examples people bring up is the way she handled Eazy-E and NWA. Instead of acknowledging that F the Police was a raw protest against real police brutality in black neighborhoods, Oprah zeroed in on their explicit lyrics and painted them as part of the problem. That rubbed a lot of people the wrong way because to them, it seemed like she was ignoring the bigger picture and reducing their art to just bad influence material.
And this next group calls itself NWA, which stands for with Attitudes. Their album, Straight Outta Compton, went platinum, 1 million copies. Critics say their lyrics promote violence and urge black youngsters to policemen.
Then there's the hypocrisy angle people love to point out. They remember Oprah turning down rappers because, in her view, they promoted violence, misogyny, or negativity. But at the same time, she had guests on her show who were way more problematic. People with serious allegations or ugly histories that made certain rappers look tame in comparison. Still, despite all of this, the 50 versus Oprah drama has always been considered relatively light compared to 50's other beefs. And honestly, that might be because she's a woman and because of the huge soft spot 50 has for his grandmother, who was an Oprah fan. Anyone who's followed 50's career knows, when he really goes after someone, it can get ugly fast. 50 Cent versus Jimmy Henchman. Starting off with one of 50 Cent's deadliest beefs, the one with Jimmy Henchman. This wasn't just a few diss tracks and social media jabs. This feud came with shootings, violent run-ins, and even the murder of someone close to 50. By the time it was all said and done, Henchman was hit with a second life sentence. Back in the early 2000s, Jimmy Henchman was a major power player in the music game. He was managing big games, and one of his biggest clients was The Game. Now, this was prime rap era. Game had just signed with Dr. Dre, who decided to link him up with 50 Cent. On paper, it was a dream team. 50 was running the charts with G-Unit, and Dre's stamp of approval meant Game had instant clout. For a minute, it looked like they were about to completely take over the rap world together. But like most alliances, the peace didn't last. Henchman claimed that 50 started getting salty over Game's solo success. Game wasn't acting like just another G-Unit soldier. He was building his own empire, and that supposedly didn't sit right with 50. Things really started to sour when Game began hanging around people 50 considered his enemies. That was the final straw. 50 booted him from G Unit, and just like that, one of hip-hop's biggest feuds was born. Now, the 50 versus Game beef is legendary. We're talking full-on chaos, including that infamous New York shootout. But what most people don't know is that behind the scenes, there was a darker, more personal war going on between 50 and Henchman. The turning point came in 2007. Tony Yayo, 50's right-hand man, and another G-Unit affiliate, Lodi Mac, crossed paths with Henchman's 14-year-old son, nicknamed Lil Henchman. The kid was reportedly wearing a GU-Not shirt, a direct shot at 50's crew. Yayo and Lodi weren't having it. Things escalated instantly. They allegedly pressed the kid against the wall, Yayo slapped him, and Lodi went even further, pulling a gun and pistol whipping the teenager. It was a wild overreaction, especially since they were dealing with a minor.
If I slap your kid, you're gonna go all out too. It's the streets. You know, rules got violated, and it is what it is.
Both were arrested, but the fallout was different. Yayo got his charges dropped, and Lodi pleaded guilty to aggravated assault and ended up serving time. Henchman wasn't about to just let that slide. Not long after, someone shot up Yayo's mother's house. Nobody was hurt, but in the streets, everyone took it as Henchman sending a message.
Because your mom's house got shot up afterwards. Was your mom and your sister in the house?
Nah, my mom's wasn't there, my sister was there.
Your sister.
Later that same year, things nearly got deadly. While 50 was shooting the video for I'll Still Kill with Akon, Henchman's crew allegedly rolled up with silencers, ready to make a move. But before they could even get out of the car, one of the guns accidentally went off. The noise scared them off, and they sped away.
It was the filming of the 50 Cent and Akon I'll Still Kill video.
And Henchman and them niggas supposed to come through, and I guess they gun jammed, but we had God on that side. And they backed out on the hit, but we had straps too.
If that gun had misfired, it could have been a massacre. 50's camp was strapped too, so a shootout would have been almost guaranteed. That little accident might have been the only reason nobody died that day, but it also proved how far Henchman was willing to go. But that was just the start of the madness Jimmy Henchman brought to Tony Yayo and 50 Cent's doorstep. One time, Jimmy was cruising down Manhattan's West Side Highway when he casually took his hand off the wheel to reach for his gun. As he rolled past 50's building, he was ready to let off shots, but had to pump the brakes when he noticed cops tailing him. That failed hit didn't slow him down. Jimmy got more creative and more twisted. Knowing 50's cars were bulletproof, he actually came up with a plan to blow up 50's van, figuring an explosion might be the only way to reach him. His last attempt on Yayo's life came when he spotted Yayo's Bentley and lit it up with bullets. But the team's part was that Yayo wasn't even in it. He was chilling in his bulletproof van parked right behind the Bentley, so he walked away without a scratch.
Then, you know, as we leaving, I left Apollo. I'm around the corner, my Bentley got shot up, but luckily I was in my bulletproof truck behind the Bentley. So we all on our phones not paying attention, and some dude with a hoodie came by and squeezed probably 4 or 5 bullets.
There were even whispers that Henchman had something to do with 50's house burning down. Nothing was ever proven, but by this point the beef was boiling over and both sides clearly wanted blood. Things hit their peak in 2009, just weeks after Lodi Mac got out of prison. Barely 2 weeks later, Lodi was shot dead in the middle of the Bronx. Everybody instantly looked at Henchman. The hit was cold-blooded and calculated. They tracked Lodi's movements, missed him the first time, then found out who his lawyer was. Posing as a friend of a mutual associate named Biggie, they convinced Lodi that someone had his back now that he was free. Lodi agreed to the meet, and that decision cost him his life. It didn't take a genius to connect the dots. Lodi had assaulted Henchman's son years earlier, and now he was gone. The murder stayed unsolved for a while, but the streets already knew the truth. While cops were still digging into Lodi Mac's murder, Henchman caught another massive case in 2010, money laundering, witness tampering, the works. Prosecutors claimed he wasn't just in the drug game, he was running it, pulling in over $11 million a year. In the end, Henchman got hit with 2 life sentences for the drugs and Lodi's murder. 50 Cent versus Supreme McGriff. And if that wasn't wild enough, another deadly beef 50 had was with Supreme McGriff, the one that ended with 50 getting shot 9 times. Let's rewind to the early 80s. That's when Kenneth Supreme McGriff put together a crew named after himself, the Supreme Team, holding it down in Jamaica, Queens. Under Preem's lead, they weren't just some small-time gang. They had hundreds of members, ran the crack game in the Baisley Park projects where Preem grew up, and were making around $200K a day. By 87, Preem's reign got cut short when he got hit with 12 years in prison. He made parole in 94, but barely lasted a year before getting locked up again. It wasn't until 97 that he finally got his name cleared and decided to flip the page. That's when he linked up with Ja Rule and the Murder Inc. camp, becoming one of their heavy hitters, offering muscle and protection for the label. At first, him and 50 Cent were cool, but back then 50's career wasn't popping yet. He wasn't anywhere near Ja Rule's level. Money was tight, so 50 dropped How to Rob, clowning the whole industry to get noticed. Then came the beef with Ja. Supreme tried to play peacemaker, telling 50 to lay off Ja, but 50 didn't back down. Then in 99, tragedy hit. Both 50 and Preem's close friend, Black Just, got caught in the middle of some street drama. The story goes that E Moneybags had put down a deposit on a car from Preem. When he asked for the money back, Preem laughed it off. E didn't take it well and ended up shooting at Preem while he was riding with Black Just. Just took 2 bullets, one in the thigh. Instead of heading straight to the hospital, which was nearby, Preem went back to the block and had someone else drive Just to get help. That delay cost Just his life, and E Moneybags had officially made some serious enemies.
Just like that. He said that wasn't for Just. I just looked at him, man, and I say, E, that is Just. He's dead.
From there, things between Preem and 50 went downhill fast, thanks to the Ja Rule situation. Tony Ayo even told a story about a time when Preem tried to check 50, and 50 basically showed him he wasn't scared. To make it worse, 50 started hanging with E Moneybags, Big Nose Troy, and Green Eyed Born, guys Preem was already beefing with.
Preem came to the block, 50 up there. Preem, dude, you know the old school. You know what 50 did? Yeah, my.
Do it back, yeah.
Yeah, my. Oh, you know what the block did?
Yeah, that's what.
Oh!
The final straw was Ghetto Quran. When it leaked, Preem heard his name in the lyrics and lost it. 50 said he was just giving props, same as other rappers who mentioned Supreme Team before, but Preem wasn't buying it. Not long after, someone tried to take Preem out at a gas station, and he figured 50 was behind it. That's when he decided 50 had to go. Preem allegedly put a bag on 50's head, hired Daryl Homo Baum, Mike Tyson's ex-bodyguard, to do the job. On May 24, 2000, 50 was leaving his grandmother's house. His little boy was inside, his grandmother in the yard. As he got in the backseat of the car, another car rolled up. The gunman walked to the window and fired 9 shots from a 9mm. 50 got hit all over, hand, arm, legs, hip, chest, and face. A few inches higher and he would have been gone. But somehow he survived. 3 weeks in the hospital, multiple surgeries, and he walked out breathing. It became one of the most famous survival stories in hip-hop.
Where were you shot?
In my hands, my legs several times, like 5 times in my hands, and then in my legs, and then in my face.
3 years later, on Many Men, 50 named Homo as the shooter, but by then, Homo had already been killed, just weeks after the hit.
Did you ever find out who did it?
Yeah, I knew who did it shortly after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they are now where?
Oh, the guy who actually shot me is dead.
The law eventually caught up to Preem. In 2002, he was arrested on a murder case, and by 2003, the feds had Murder Inc. under the microscope. In 2005, Irv Gotti went on trial for allegedly laundering drug money for Preem, but he beat the case. Preem wasn't so lucky. Testimony from a hitman, text messages, and surveillance footage tied him to paying $50K for hits, including the one on 50. By the time the dust settled, all his assets were gone. He couldn't even hire a lawyer and had to settle for a court-appointed one. On April 9, 2007, Kenneth Supreme McGriff was sentenced to life in prison.